Alright, so our challenge asks us to create a new function in city_controller class, and the name of the function should be getHealthStatusCount. So we are going to use the aggregate function and the group by clause to solve this challenge. So let's go back to our VS Code, and here I'm going to create a new function. So what I'll do, so here make sure that you are inside the city_controller class because we need to create our function in this class. So now let's create a new function, public static, and this function should return a map of string and integer, because what we want to do, we want to return the number of person in each health status. So this map will hold the status as the key and number of person as the value. And the name of the function should be, let's copy it from our challenge. It should be getHealthStatusCount, and this function doesn't accept anything. And now here I'm going to write my SQL query first. So from the context of our challenge, we know that we need to write this query on the person object because the person object holds the detail about a person. So let's write our SQL query. So I'm going to start with the select statement. I'm going to write my fields later on. First let's complete the from person_c, and here I'm going to group by my results with the health status. So it will be like group by health status, and now what I'll write in my select fields, first I want to retrieve this health status because I'm grouping by my result with the health status, and then I want the count of person in that health status. So I'm going to use the count method and I'm going to count the ID. I'm also going to alias this count of ID as total so that I can directly get this total fields value in my for loop. Now this query is going to give me the aggregate result. So either I can store the result in an aggregate result array, or I could directly write it inside a for loop. So I'm going to write it inside a for loop. So it will be like for, and then the data type would be aggregate result, and I'm going to name it as maybe like AR, and within this for loop I'm going to have my query, and let's have our for loop iteration here. Let me quickly format my code as well so that it's easier to read. So within this for loop we need to populate a map of string and integer. So let me declare a map of string and integer first, and let's call it health count map. And now here I'm going to populate this map. So what I'll do, I'm going to use my health count map, and then I'm going to put a new value here. Let me just format it, and the key will be the health status and the value will be the count of ID. So if you want to get the key or the health status, then we need to use the get method. So it will be like ar.get, and then the field name, which is health status, and the value will be this total field value. So it's like ar.get total, and this way we will populate our map. Now in the end we simply need to return this health count map back to the method caller. So return health count map. So it was a very simple method because we were using the aggregate functions and the group by clause. If you are not using the aggregate functions, then you would have to retrieve all the result from person object, and then you need to iterate over these result and you need to build this map by yourself. But having the aggregate function in our SQL query made our job very simpler. So now let me quickly paste some comment as well. So that should be it. Let's save our code and let's deploy our changes. And if our deployment is successful, then we are going to test our method from developer console. We have got an error and it says method does not exist or incorrect signature, void put object. Okay, and the reason is we are not typecasting the value that we are getting with the get method. So this get method returns an object and we need to typecast that object to appropriate data type. For example, this total field will have the integer value where the health status will have the string value. So I can use the value of method from string class and integer class to get the appropriate data type value here. So I'm going to declare a string variable. Let's call it maybe key, or we can also call it health status. And what we are going to do, ar.get and then the health status. And now we need to typecast this value, so we can use string.value of method. Similarly, we can also get the aggregate functions value as well. So this time I'm going to declare an integer variable, and let's call it count, and it will be like integer dot value of and ar dot get total, which is the alias that I have given to my aggregate function. And now I can delete this, and I'm going to push my health status and count. Or you could have directly pasted this expression here within the put method as well, but I chose to write it in this way so it makes our code more readable. Now let me try deploying it again, and it should be successful this time. So our deployment was successful. Now let's go back to developer console. So here in our developer console, I'm going to call my get health status count method from city_control class. So let me copy the method name and the class name, and this method is going to return a map of string and integer. Let's call it health count map, and now we'll print the value of this health count map. System.debug. So let's execute our code and let's observe the output. Click on this debug only checkbox, and we have got only one health status, which is green, and the total number of person in this health status is 4. We can verify this from our Salesforce org. So let's go to the persons object tab, and here select all records and check out the health status. So we have in total 4 person record, and all of them are having the green health status, and that's why we are getting this value. So our method is working fine. In the next video, we are going to discuss the similar challenge in city location controller class.